You're listening to our social newscast with me, Sam Marshall, in partnership with Surgo. Surgo specializes in a wide range of operational functions that companies might otherwise outsource to multiple vendors. These functions include everything from payrolling, outsourcing functions, customer support, HR outsourcing, RPO, payroll processing, IR administration, and training. In our conversation today, we have a chat to Surgo's communications manager, Yusuf Kurodia, about the BPO industry and for IR. Yusuf, thank you very much for your time. Give me an overview of the BPO industry in South Africa at the moment.
Over the recent years, the BPO contact center industry has grown rapidly with regards to scale and, quality. The increase in the offshore investment into the South African BPO industry has become a key contributor to the country's GDP. It contributed about 46 billion rand towards the country's GDP. And one of the key driving for this foreign investment has been, number one, obviously, our low rand rate. And then number two, it is accompanied by our premium service delivery from our South Africans to the rest of the world.
Do a comparison for me between South Africa, Africa, and the rest of the world.
Quite a difficult analysis to do on the spot, but to give you some insight onto some of our bigger role players like, India and the Philippines, they are, how do we differentiate from them? Our people have the natural ability to engage with the customer and understand the customer's needs and wants. And this comes through the practice of empathizing and relating to the customer. And that creates a tangible experience for the customer. We also have the natural articulation, with which most HR practitioners will call the neutral accent. This allows our customer experience to be exported as a service to the rest of the world, and that's why the South African BPO industry has become such a role-playing competitor.
Obviously, Surgo is in the market, and Surgo's offering, what is it?
Just to sum things up, Surgo manages a wide range of outsourcing functions, including customer support, HR outsourcing, RPO, payroll processing, internal relations management, administration services, training, recruitment services, and a whole lot more. Any part of our business can be outsourced. But what makes us unique from the rest of the industry is our first and foremost value in practice is Ubuntu. And I'm not sure for those listeners who are listening from overseas, Ubuntu is a form of humanism, an African form of humanism actually, and can best be described in the phrase, I am because of who we all are. We have adopted this philosophy into our management style by putting our people first. And, we believe that if you treat your people right, meaning your employees, they will in turn treat the customer right. And this philosophy has definitely paid off in the long term.
I can 100% agree with you. What are some of the challenges, Yusuf, and specifically in the South Africa and Africa context, that an organization or the industry that you're in find themselves in?
Sam, the biggest challenge that Africa and South Africa faces at the moment when it comes to business is our lack of skills. With that said, the BPO industry one of the specific challenges we face as the BPO industry is attrition. And why it's such a big challenge for us is because you spend so much time as a business or business owner skilling someone up, skilling an employee up, teaching them the product, teaching them the policies, the procedures in place of your business to accomplish the best they can. And then they leave the company within 6 to 8 months. And this is a trend in the industry. The attrition rate currently sits at 16%, which is quite high. So if we had a skilled workforce who was, number one, obviously sees the broader spectrum of the BPO industry and sees it as a career platform rather than an opportunity for them to just make money and live and be sustainable, we could definitely see a decrease in attrition and an increase in people investing into South African markets and into the South African BPO industry.
Or the use of technology has impacted every industry. Has it been good or bad for the BPO industry? How has the use of technology impacted the industry?
This topic can be an entire podcast on its own, really, when it comes to technology and the BPO industry. But, to just hone in on one or two things. One of the trends I've noticed over the past year with the COVID pandemic One of the biggest trends has been the uprising or the accumulated numbers of virtual call centers, and they're kind of taking over the market. You can see that with regards to with reference to the sale of hosted PABX systems. So I'm not sure if you know what a hosted PABX system is, but for those who don't
Sure.
know, it's basically just a phone system that can accommodate all your platforms on one thing. It's a cloud-based system. So the sales of hosted PABX systems since the pandemic has increased phenomenally. So a study was done, and in 2018, the turnover was roughly 6.9 billion dollars, sorry, and then that turnover is estimated to double in number by 2025. One of the other trends that have become rather protrudent in the industry has been the consumer's expectations to have a multiple channel uniform multiple channel communication. So what I mean by that is customers don't like, customers that expect a company, organization to respond in a timeliest manner, to respond and know exactly what they're dealing with. And sometimes they contact you on various platforms. So from email to phone to web chat. And with that said, it's very, very, very important to hold consistency in chat and when dealing with the customer. So one of the other biggest trends that we've noticed is that customer relations management systems that have been big players, and getting that, fine tuning that to basically accommodate the work from home solution as well.
Yeah, just as a follow-up, I mean, you're talking about a PBX system, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously Surgo's in the business of, as you've stated, a host of things, but one of the
Mm-hmm.
services is a call center. Is there a difference between the kind of offering that Surgo puts out with the trained staff and all that, vis-a-vis somebody who just buys a PABX system?
Yes, there is a massive difference. Okay, so obviously, number one, the training involved in upskilling a worker to deal with a customer on an empathetic level is something that you can't just buy in a book, or you can't just, attain naturally. Yes, some people do have it naturally, but to actually relate to that customer's needs and understand what they need, there is specific training involved in that. Apart from that, these days consumers expect that companies are responsive across many channels, right? Email, phone, web chat. So the actual interaction with the customer is the person. And you cannot just put anyone behind a desk dealing with your customer. You need to go through specific training. You need to understand the customer's needs. You need to understand the business's product. So you cannot just give a hosted PABX system to anyone and expect them to deal with your customer.
What are some of the questions that an organization have to ask themselves during this pandemic?
Well, Sam, this is a topic that has been well discussed across various platforms. But I think the biggest question from a BPO perspective, especially with the pandemic and how to service your clients and service your clients' customers without, it affecting your business and their business, is my remote work solution successful? And the measure of failure or success of your remote work solution and strategy is not based on complaints about team members only having one screen to work on, or the child screaming in the background. Those are just natural parts of life, and a natural distraction. I think a successful strategy needs to start with evidence of an understanding workforce, and that's used to a flexible culture and showing they're prepared and able to adapt to these challenging circumstances. So the success and failure is based on how well your office runs now that it is running from home, basically.
Have the question of 4R and innovation taken a back seat, especially now that government seems to be focused on other priorities? Or from your sense, has it taken a back seat?
From my senses, definitely not. The BPO industry has adapted very well, but there's so much room for growth, and I think growth and improvement. And I think this can be applicable to all industries, not just the BPO industry. The subject has been on top minds of leaders across the public, private, and labor and education sectors. And it's interesting because Cyril Ramaphosa has actually put together a commission to investigate this very fact. The fourth industrial revolution has not only affected our clients, but our businesses as well, we too at Surgo had to create a work from home solution to mitigate the effects of the pandemic and adapt to the new world of work. But with that said, the BPO industry seems to have adapted incredibly well. The new world of work is one in which, our old human resources, the internal relations, the policies and procedures, and the management style will have to either adapt or be changed. And while the BPO industry has adapted incredibly well to this challenge, due to its understanding of technology, we at Surgo, from a Surgo perspective, we have noticed the key areas for improvement lies not within the BPO sector, but businesses who need BPO services, who need to adapt to the pandemic, who need to adapt to the new world of work. Because a lot of companies out there have, just taken a back seat and waited for the pandemic to pass. But the world of work is not going to be the same after the pandemic. It's going to be completely different because we've allowed for so much, leeway and so much freedom amongst our employees.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And then, final question, and I don't know if it's a self-serving question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What are you guys getting right?
The BPO industry or Surgo? Or both?
Well, both.
Well, okay, let's touch on the BPO industry. What is the BPO industry getting right? They are creating jobs in the country. While many industries have shed jobs during this pandemic, the BPO industry has actually boosted the economy. And just to mention, Cyril Ramaphosa actually mentioned in one of his State of the Nations addresses that he sees the BPO industry as a green shoot to driving the economic growth of the country post-pandemic. What is Surgo getting right? Well, Sam, our attrition rate, I think, would be our biggest achievement. We have developed an organization in which people enjoy working for, and that is such an achievement, given the fact that most of our industry consists of millennials who tend to job hop. So we are entering into a phase now with a workforce who will be the longevity of your employee at your company is between 1 to 2 years. And that is going to be very, very daunting for every company because you are losing skill, you are losing knowledge, you are losing, very, very important skills and knowledge. And with that said, Surgo has really, what I feel we've done right in the industry is we've really helped create an environment that is career focused and has helped employees who come from the millennial generation to actually see and excel in their careers and see potential in themselves and their careers and the BPO industry as a whole, and not just see it as a stepping stone to a different career, but seeing a career path within this industry.